Luciferians want to convert Ethiopia, Nepal, Iran, and Afghanistan to the one universal commercial religion. By Mike Mills, Sunday, April the 27th, 2025. The Ethiopian Calendar is one of the main reasons why the Luciferians are committing genocide against the ancient Christian people of Ethiopia. The Bible mentions the times and law being changed, specifically in Daniel 7:25, and warns against date setting related to the end times. The biblical calendar, particularly the Ethiopian calendar, is also seen as pointing to the Messiah and affirming the accuracy of God's word, with Satan seeking to distort it. In Daniel 7:25, God, through the prophet Daniel, foretells that a future entity shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law, and they shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. Additionally, the Bible highlights the concept of seasons and times for everything in the world, both in nature and in life. To all but possibly the most senior of commercial law specialists, it is difficult to imagine American commercial life without the nationwide adoption of the Uniform Commercial Code. We would surely regard as impossible the idea that the vast economic success of the latter half of the 20th century could have been achieved without it. The Uniform Commercial Code is our Godhead, our sacred foundational document, our holy book of modern commerce, which brought us a form of economic enlightenment from the pre-code days of ignorance. Our attachment to the UCC runs far deeper than a mere rational commercial preference. It resembles more that of the faith of the religious believer. This presents a problem, however. Even if we assume that our faith in the UCC has been over the past several decades salutary, and there are good and plenty reasons to believe that it is, and even if the uniformity that is its product has on balance permitted massive economic progress, our near dogmatic faith-like belief in the UCC, our code, has hindered the very type of global uniformity and the attendant benefits thereto that it continues to enable in the domestic context. It does look like the Uniform Commercial Code is important, but let's step back and take a closer look at why it seems so. The United States and the rest of the Western Hemisphere use the Gregorian calendar. The Gregorian calendar was initially implemented by the Catholic Church in 1582. That's interesting. And the current 2024/2025 Hebrew year is 5785, which would mean that the adherents of this calendar are standing on a grandfathered calendar, law, and are largely exempt from the rules and legal obligations of the almost universally accepted commercial Gregorian calendar, which again was implemented by the Catholic Church Corporation. Also, the four countries which have not adopted the Gregorian calendar are Ethiopia, Ethiopian Calendar, Nepal, Vikram Samvat, and Nepal Sambat, Iran and Afghanistan, Solar Hijri calendar. These four countries are standing on their own grandfathered calendars, law, and are claiming exemption from the Uniform Universal Commercial Code. Now we know why Ethiopia, Nepal, Iran, and Afghanistan must be converted to the one universal commercial religion. No legal or civil instrument, no law, not anything has any force until it is granted existence by being brought from the non-temporal static state of is into the dynamic temporal state of not is with a date. If you use a date from the Gregorian calendar to make a thing X's tense, you are tacitly agreeing to the unspoken terms of use set by the one universal commercial religion that implemented that calendar in 1582. Real Christians understood the power of dates and dating. They had their dates stolen and they were slaughtered out of visible existence by the pagan gods who sent the attorneys down to confound the commonly understood definitions of the words of men and begin the establishment of the one universal commercial religion. If you live long enough, you notice all manner of experts applying all manner of paper, so to speak, to effect changes in legality and law. In the end, it all fails. Every presentation is stamped, brought into existence, with a private date. The use of a private date transfers ownership of the thing dated to the owner of the calendar. Doesn't matter if you believe that or not. That's the truth. A tapestry begins with an idea conceived. You were conceived on or about a date of the Gregorian calendar. Materials are gathered, plans are made. Gestation between two Gregorian dates. The work begins. You are born on a Gregorian date. The warp and woof your entire existence, temporal presence, every part, every instant is precisely defined by Gregorian dates. The cessation of your existence is defined by a Gregorian date. Your idea of when an afterlife begins is modeled on Gregorian dating. So who owns you? As of July 4th, 2024, the United States is 248 years old. The United States is 248 years old because the Declaration of Independence was ratified by the U.S. Second Continental Congress on July 4th, 1776. The passing of the Declaration of Independence meant that the 13 original British colonies in North America ceased to be colonies and officially became a sovereign nation and not a subsidiary of another power. The Union of States is presently a captive subsidiary of the one universal commercial religion, with the Uniform Commercial Code being official doctrine. The solution to this captivity is to simply use day/month/248 USA in all matters legal, law, and private. We stand on our date, our law. The Uniform Commercial Code is not your friend and certainly not your savior. If you do anything under the Uniform Commercial Code, you are saying that you are a slave to the Luciferians.
In this video, we will see how the Gregorian calendar that we are following might not be correct, and that there is another calendar that everyone should know about. We will start with the beginning of our present calendar. In the year 1582, the Pope of the time, who was Gregory XIII, was advised by the Council of Trent to change the Julian calendar, which was the official calendar in that time. They said this was to be done to realign the Christian feast Easter, which no longer fell on the right season. But people found out that in reality, it was done to align the Christian feasts with the pagan ones. What they said to reassure people is that if they replaced the pagan feasts with the Christian ones, then more people would be drawn to Christianity. And there is still something else that you should know about our current calendar. Even though it was named after the Pope, he was not the one who made it. It was made by an Italian astronomer named Aloysius Lilius. But then, before it was officially installed, it was first modified by a reform commission that was led by a certain Christopher Clavius. He was a well-known Jesuit who worked for the Vatican. So after refusal from many different countries, the Gregorian calendar finally became the official calendar worldwide. But is this calendar that we are all following correct? There is one amazing calendar that did not change as the rest of the world did, and that is the Ethiopian calendar. During my research, I came to find that this exceptional calendar that resisted the test of time was not only a calendar with a rich history around it, but I found that it is the most authentic calendar that is still around today. It all starts by some revelations that have shown that it is derived from the works of Enoch. You should know that his books have been preciously kept in Ethiopia and Egypt since countless years. And Enoch had a calendar that not many people know about. An Enochian year is completed in 364 days, and then a few days are added at different times to keep the season's timing in place. The Ethiopian calendar also closely resembles the ancient Egyptian calendar, which is one of the oldest in history. The calendar divides the year into 13 months, just like the Ethiopian one. and their calendar was based on an astronomical concept. It goes after the heliacal rising of the star Sirius, which marks the first day of the year. And the new year of the ancient Egyptians was on Mescarim. This date is also the actual Ethiopian New Year. And guess what? The date falls on our 9/11. Now, another ancient calendar that is closely related to the Ethiopian one is the Coptic calendar. It was derived from the ancient Egyptian one, but it had its own alternate names and meanings. So you see, the Ethiopian calendar is the only calendar still around that is in accordance with these amazing ancient calendars. And today, it is 7 to 8 years behind our Gregorian calendar. The Ethiopians are not even in the year 2022. They are now in the year 2014. And in the year 2020, they were in the year 2012. They say that this is due to alternate calculations in determining the birth date of Christ. But if these ancient calendars existed way before the birth date of Christ, and the Ethiopian calendar is the same as them, then why is it considered inaccurate simply because it does not follow the same birth date of Christ? And there is still another calendar that can be compared with the Ethiopian one. And that, of course, is the exceptional Maya calendar. Their long count calendar lasted approximately 5,125 years. And the calendar was based on a ritual cycle with 260 named days and a year of 365 days. Now just look at this. This comes from an article that was published on the 17th of December, 2012. These are the words from an elder of the Maya's council. He made a statement which says that the end of a cycle simply represents the beginning of a new one. And he said that the date 21/12/2012 is not the end of the world, nor did we predict that it would be. Instead, the Maya believe that this is the date that heralds the shift of the ages and an era of expanded consciousness. Now, I am quite sure that many of you felt the shift of the ages, the consciousness era, or as some call it, the Grand Awakening. It happened at the beginning of the year 2020. So just look at this and you will understand. The Maya calendar and its official interpretation were 100% correct. Because if you take the date 21/12/2012 from the Ethiopian calendar, and if you transform it into the Gregorian one, you get the date the 31st of December 2019. You see, this date was the New Year's Eve of the year 2020, the year everything changed, and where we really did live and even felt the shift of the ages and the start of the era of expanded consciousness, just as was predicted by the Mayas. Their calendar was correct. It was only our calendar that was wrong. So for me, above all the other things that we saw, this shows that the Ethiopian calendar is the true calendar. It is the calendar that we should all be following. Because as we enter and learn how to live through this new era, more and more people will come to see the importance of the dates and numerology, and how it affects us in our everyday life. This is why it will be more and more important for us to calculate the dates right. And we can only do this through using a correct calendar. Now I know that you might wonder, as I did, how and why did this mix-up happen? Was it an accident, or was it done on purpose? If you are like me, then you do not believe in accidents, and you might consider that this was done on purpose by the ones who have made their livings out of our ignorance. I believe that this calendar fraud, and that many of the biggest things that are going on today, are being done just to distract us from entering into a higher state of consciousness, one where you will see that everything makes sense and that everything is as it should be.
Okay, you guys, I just found something out and it's blowing my mind. Some of you may already know this, so don't come in the comments like, you didn't know that? No, I didn't. You know why? Because I live in the United States of America, where we have been brainwashed and not been taught about real history. Okay, if you guys go to the first video on this playlist, the simulation, I filmed it on January 11th, 2021. And it was showing how all of the times were different on every clock, every digital clock. My boyfriend at the time was working. He had like 3 computers in front of him. They all said different times. His phone said a different time. He came upstairs to show me my phone said a different time. All the times were messed up. In my comments, people were like, what about analog clocks? As you can see, I have analog clocks. So I went to check those and those were off too. So I was like, there's been a weird shift in the universe because the ball also didn't drop on time at the New York ball. It was like a minute late or something. I was like, we've definitely shifted dimensions. Something's going on. Look at this. I recently came across a video talking about how the calendar is supposed to have 13 months, but the Gregorian calendar changed it, which is the calendar we follow today. So I see this comment, come to Ethiopia, you will see what you are saying. We have 13 months within a year. So someone commented, right now we're in 2014, year of Mercury. Today's date is Thursday, the 22nd of March, 2014. Our new year is on the 1st of September. And I was like, wait, they're living in 2014 and we're living in 2022? Is that why they say that all time is simultaneous, like past, present, and future, we're all living in it at once? But then I saw this comment. So if we're in 2014, according to your calendar, 2020 Gregorian calendar corresponds to 2012, your calendar, when the truth started to come out and people woke. So the Mayans were right. COVID really put everyone in 2020. Using your calendar, that means that the year 2012 was the end of the world. Mind blown. Okay, so of course I had to look up when our calendar started. It was in 1582. Ethiopian calendar started around AD 400. So they are obviously way more correct than we are. How many years did we lose switching to the Gregorian calendar? 8 years. We're lost in translation when the switch to the Gregorian calendar was made to in the 15th century. And if you guys remember, the Mayan calendar says that the end of the world would be on December 21st, 2012. And even according to the Julian calendar, that would be on January 21st, 2020, when COVID was at its peak. So I'm freaking out in the middle of the night and I message my dear friend, JK Ultra, Jen. If you guys aren't following her, please go follow her, who's super into all this stuff. And I was like, girl, I'm sure you know this, but did you know this? And her and I are both freaking out because we didn't know this. So she goes and converts what day is December 21st, 2012 in the Ethiopian calendar. What does it calculate to us? December 31st, 2019. So the last day of the world, according to the Mayan calendar, was on December 21st, 2012, if we had kept up with the original calendar. But because we switched it, it was December 31st, 2019. So in 2020, the new world started. So we have already shifted into a new dimension. And this is why everything is so different. This makes so much sense. Are you guys freaking out? Because I'm freaking out.